X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. And Adam, what a marvelous day it is for you and I to team up and talk about some X-Men stories.
I love team-ups. I really do. Unfortunately, they always seem to devolve in the two heroes that team up kind of getting into a fight. So I hope that doesn't happen tonight. But we are talking about Marvel Team Up this episode, right?
We are talking about Marvel Team Up. For folks that don't know, Marvel Team Up was a series that started in the early 70s. And it was the book that tentatively was two Marvel heroes smashing together in about, like, you know how Marvel Comics Presents turned into a Wolverine book with some other stuff by about year 2? So by about that same time, Marvel Team Up became the Spider-Man teams up with a Marvel hero book, whereas Marvel 2-in-1 became the Thing teams up with a another hero.
And I don't think, they maybe tried a couple times to let the Human Torch be the star of this book, and it never stuck. So it's very much a Spidey book, and we're kind of catching up with it in its last third here, where we have some X-Men crossovers. And who do we have to thank for this, Zach?
We have Patreon supporter Kevin Newburn. Kevin, who you might know is a fantastic artist, but he went on over to patreon.com/comicsxf and said, "This is the high quality comics stuff that I want to support." Tossed a couple of coins into our coffers and said, "Gents, I would love it if you would talk about Marvel Team Up 150. And we said, "Cool, that's the last issue. We've got to do some other ones first."
Well, all right, so we're going to start with Marvel Team Up number 100, which is, for those of you who are New Mutants fans, this is kind of the first thing that you will find in the New Mutants Epic Collection, because it is the issue where Karma is introduced. Page number 1, introducing Karma. She possesses people.
This was written by Frank Miller. Nope. Well, yes. Nope. Yes, he's credited as a writer on this.
Yes, he's co-creator.
Co-creator, yes, excuse me.
Yes.
Frank Miller, and this is a young Frank Miller, by the way. This is pre-Daredevil Frank Miller.
Right.
And Chris Claremont writes it. And Chris Claremont wrote Marvel Comics, or Marvel Team Up on and off. But he actually had a very substantial chunk of work on Marvel Team Up. There's also a backup that we're going to get into that is equally important by Claremont and Byrne.
Yeah. Can I just make a note before we start talking about the series that the issue that I think it is really interesting. If you look at the bottom right corner of the first page, it says, "With thanks to Ithacon79 for the inspiration." And Ithacon claims to be the oldest United States comic book convention. If you go to their page, they claim that they started as a middle school comic book club and graduated into a comic convention that had, the first year it had 2 guests and eventually evolved.
I would have to look that up to verify, because I know I've read, well, comic conventions were a copycat thing of like the Star Trek sci-fi conventions that were done in the 60s, but they really didn't pop up until the 60s. I know there's a book that a guy by the name of Dan Garino wrote called Comic Shop that delves into that history of comics, but from a market perspective, that talked about that, because that's a lot of how the direct market came to be with resellers and all that came from the con circuit.
Yeah, I am not sure if I could buy that they're the oldest, but I do love that they started in 75 and within 4 years they had guests like this that are like sitting around coming up with new characters like Karma. She possesses people.
Listen, Chris and Frank had to drive all the way up from New York to Ithaca.
Ithaca, yeah.
They had a long drive. And this would not be the last time Frank Miller and Chris Claremont took a road trip and then came up with a story. They did that with the Wolverine miniseries. I don't know which con. They didn't thank them in that one. I actually think that one was out in California, if memory serves. Anyway.
You want to get into what this is about? Because right off the bat, it looks like Spidey's having a hard time.
Yeah, Spidey's doing some crimes, but he can't control himself. Which, frankly, the most baseline Spider-Man thing to happen to him. Oh, gosh darn it, Peter Parker. But he's being possessed by a character that we'll later learn is named Shang Man, who's Karma. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to get into right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Karma is Vietnamese. That's a strict character trait. Karma's a weirdly fetishized version of Vietnam, written by dudes who definitely didn't know much about Vietnam, to the point where they name her Shan Khoi Man. But that's not how you say that. Also, XI comma AN is not a word or a name in Vietnamese. It is the name of a Chinese city, a very large Chinese city, Xi'an.
Yeah, there's definitely some blending of cultures, nationalities, language in the backstory. And it really does, as we get to the end of this issue, kind of feel like they're picking up this story from just having watched the nightly news. It doesn't seem to have come from any actual experience with, any actual Vietnamese people who they may have talked to.
Is Larry Hama the only Asian person in general? And I understand that Asia is a giant and diverse place, and Larry Hama not being Vietnamese means that he could not give a, incredibly better perspective than this. But, I mean, is Larry Hama the only Asian writer to ever write Karma?
I mean, given the track record of who writes for Marvel, I would not be surprised if that was true.
Jeez.
It's not a great track record for diverse voices. So it is a little bit of a dated, to say the least, introduction of this character. Now, Karma is right off the bat already imbued with some of the tragic backstory that we learn that follows her into New Mutants. She and her brother did escape Vietnam after her parents were murdered, and she is trying to save her two younger siblings because her uncle and her brother have started a criminal empire in New York City.
Yeah, man, you can tell this is a Frank Miller comic because it's a little racist. It's got sexual assault against women as just a thrown in there kind of unnecessary plot point. And it's about all these crimes that they've got to solve. It's a hard-boiled crime / ninja approach. And that's a Frank Miller comic right there.
Yeah. We all know that Frank has issues with fetishizing Asian cultures, and Claremont is along for the ride here. But
Claremont's not much better. Let's be clear.
Sure, exactly. And the center of this story is that Spider-Man is trying to. Spider-Man is possessed by Karma and goes to save the two children from the uncle. The uncle is having an art show featuring the sculptures of Alicia Masters, and the Fantastic Four are there. So of course we get our obligatory fight scene, and there's fun to be had in that. But they are very quick to figure out that Spidey doesn't seem himself.
Unlike when Dr. Octopus was possessing his body for 3 years. That was like 1.5 years, really, let's be honest. But the Fantastic Four figure out pretty quickly, this isn't our pal, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man right here.
Nope. No, it is not. And who better to call about this mystery than Professor Charles Xavier, who is observing a Danger Room fight scene with Storm, Colossus, and Wolverine.
Yeah, he's just like, what's up? And then he gives them some Cerebro advice, and they find Karma. They team up. They go fight Karma and her evil brother and evil uncle, because this is a Karma story, so she has to do all of those things. And then they have a possession off, where her and her brother try and possess people. Mm-hmm. And then she absorbs his body in his spirit, because she had half a yin-yang on her, and he had the other half of a yin-yang on his shirt, and they formed one whole yin-yang. And it's like,
that part's
it's
rough.
heavy-handed. It's both pretty weird and racist, and also like just a bad heavy-handed metaphor. Like,
isn't it absolutely insane that like that is only being dealt with in like now? Like, we just got Vita dealing with that, like, finally in New Mutants in
to be
last
fair,
week?
Rosenberg was dealing with that in New Mutants Dead Souls, but didn't get a chance to finish
that is true.
Really the story that he was telling.
Sure.
And now Vita's picking that up in their New Mutants, which is incredible. I love their New Mutants. I think there is plenty of valid criticism to be made more about the X line as a whole, and its portrayal of lesbian and women loving women relationships. But in general, I think Vita's doing a really, really good job with New Mutants. It's about one of my favorite books. That's Vita and Ron Reese on art.
Oh, I'm loving that book.
Fantastic.
Loving it. But even if it was just
Rod Reese is good.
Oh my god, he's amazing. It's classic.
He wasn't one of my favorites. I actually legitimately did not like his stuff up until New Mutants, and I had read all of his Marvel stuff. I thought before New Mutants he was being rendered, or maybe it was the coloring, I'm not sure. It could have been his own finishes on it, because he works digitally. But like his digital inks, I thought were too tight. They were almost like a Phil Noto, but a bad imitation of a Phil Noto. Oh. Where I think Rod, like if you look at the stuff he did on the Winter Soldier book he did, or the his stuff with the Captain America and Secret Empire stuff, it's just not my favorite. But when he got New Mutants, he tried to pull in some of that Sienkiewicz rougher inks, and that unlocked something in Rod.
Yeah, I'm loving the loose art style. I mean, we've been criticizing Frank Miller a lot here, but even though this is early Frank Miller, I think the art is fantastic here. It's not as polished as it will get when he gets into his Daredevil run. Certainly not as...
I like Frank Miller as an artist, especially 80s. Controversial statement, 80s Frank Miller's a pretty decent artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't love his style here. It feels like an imitation of Frank Miller. It feels like Frank Miller's still being a Neil Adams imitator and not being Frank Miller.
Well, that's fair. I mean, he's still evolving. He's not at the point where he will be when he hits, his prime. But at the same time, a lot of even though he's, I can't tell. It seems like he's inking some of his stuff here, but it's credited to, I think it's Bob Wyacek doing. It says embellisher. So I feel like he's doing some of his own inks here. You get that chunky style that that he usually brings to his stuff, but it's not always there in every panel. So I don't know. Obviously, it's early work, but I still think it's cool. And this introduces this character who becomes such a core member of everything New Mutants moving forward. So it's definitely something that's kind of essential to learning about the history of that group of characters. Could you know about Karma without reading this? I think there's probably enough context clues to figure that out without reading this issue.
I think the fact that every Karma story essentially rehashes this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even again, we just praised Vita's New Mutants. I wrote, because I had to fill in for one of our discussions about that with Stephanie Burt. I wrote a thing that said, yeah, I like this story. This is still the same Karma story we've been telling for 40 years. Could we do something else? Please?
Yes. Let's let her make out with Danny Moonstar and go on some other adventures that don't involve...
Let those crazy kids kiss.
Now, there's added to this issue. Did you want to go back to Karma for a second?
No, I wanted to seg into the way that you're segging.
Yes, so we get a Claremont burn joint on the back of this. Bob McLeod is actually doing some of this as well. I don't know if he's just doing inks or if he's drawing some of this.
Yep.
Probably just inks. But this is a meeting between Storm and Black Panther in the present that flashes back to some things that we've talked about on the show before, which is their early meetings.
Yeah, when Storm Aurora Monroe, you know how she was born in Harlem in New York City.
Yep.
And then her father, David Monroe, was a photojournalist, and they went over to Cairo, Egypt, where there was a bomb. And then Storm became a street thief, like she was in Aladdin. That's what it is.
You're not wrong.
And you remember how she was working for Ahmed El Gabar, the king of thieves in Cairo?
I do.
And then eventually she left after some weird dealings with the Shadow King, and then decided to wander the desert, the Sahara Desert, going to her ancestral homeland of Kenya.
Yeah.
While she was doing that, she met T'Challa, a very famous movie character.
Yeah, they established their relationship. It's sort of insinuated that they had some sort of romance, even though that's not pictured here at all. So this is where you start to get the at least the structure that other writers have filled in of their past romance. But this centers around...
It's weird that this story comes up in Marvel Team Up and then is never referenced again for over 25 years. And then they get married. I know that's not this story's problem, but there were 25 years of Storm and Black Panther not hanging out. And, like, if we counted every hangout from Marvel Team Up as, like, a deep emotional connection, well, then Karma and Spider-Man would be best friends. Like, that's the level of connection that they have here. And it's actually a decent plot, because you get to flash back and forth. In the present day, there is a apartheid-era South African, I don't know, Elon Musk's dad or somebody, I don't know him, but they try and they're doing some bad stuff, and Aurora and T'Challa stop him.
Yeah, it's De Ruyter the Bull, and in his present-day incarnation, he has sort of sacrificed his body to... It's just like Godzilla versus Kong. He's telepathically controlling a giant robot. And when Aurora and T'Challa take out the robot, they kill the old man, who's sort
He's from that Storm miniseries. He's in that. I had forgotten.
Yeah, it's the same character.
The Eric Jerome Dickey Storm.
Yep. So this is the end of that character's whole deal, but beyond sort of Black Panther having at one point given Storm a nickname, I don't know that there's that much here. So future writers will dig deep into this particular interaction, and obviously...
Reginald Hudlin. We can say his name. It's Reginald Hudlin. He did this. It's his fault.
Yeah, but as a standalone backup story, I think this is pretty cool.
As a standalone backup, I think this is great. This is the kind of stuff that I would want from Marvel Team Up. It says, hey, we're Marvel, and yes, it's 1980, so we're very white, but here are the two biggest black characters that we have in comics, and by 1980, probably the two biggest black characters in comics, period?
Sure. Easily.
Like, that's probably right at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I think that's like exactly what Marvel Team Up should be.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. I'm just still mad at Reginald Hudlin because he had to do it. And then everyone else has always had to follow after that continuously, to the point that in a fantastic interview that he gave that was on Polygon, Ta-Nehisi Coates said, yeah, I really did not like... I'm an X-Men person, so I really did not like them being married. Just, I liked Black Panther, and I liked Storm, and I was very confused why they got married. Anyway, I did the best I could with it, and honestly, Ta-Nehisi Coates, probably the best Storm writer consistently since Chris Claremont, but...
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that it's what I like about this story is that it doesn't, say, hey, these two black characters are in a relationship. They have been. It doesn't say these two black characters are somehow secretly related, because we get that so often in continuity that we get these, we seldomly get black characters, and then when we do, they're all somehow connected. And, I've talked about how I hate that with Bishop and, Gateway and all that crap. This doesn't do any of that. It's just, hey, this is a fun team up and these characters have some history.
It's the exact same kind of idea that writers would later go down the road and say, hey, what if we gave Wolverine and Captain America a team up, but it's in World War II because we know they were both there?
Right.
Like, it's the exact same. It's like, well, wait, they okay, fine. They're not, to Marvel's credit, they're calling Africa just like one thing, but they're on that right track of they were way closer than anyone else who Storm knows.
Yes. I don't know. I think that it's a fun backup and leads to more story possibilities down the line. And for as tone deaf as Karma's story is about Vietnam, in terms of the scope and historical context, it doesn't have any of that. But at the same time, I think it's an interesting way to start off a character that then becomes part of a team that we know and love. So I think we should rank this.
We should. So Marvel Team Up 100 is going to have to be ranked on this list that we've been compiling over the last 200 episodes. There's 513 stories ranked from best to worst of all the X-Men stories that have ever existed, and we're going to get them all on this list. Just believe you me. Hoxpox is number 1. Number 100 on the list is X-Men Collector's Edition 1 through 4 from the Pizza Hut Corporation. Number 200 on this list is Marvel Knights X-Men. Number 300 on this list is Generation X 10 through 11 Death Whale. Number 400 on this list is X-Men 16 through 19 Betrayal in the Bermuda Triangle. Number 500 on our list, it's the Hyperstorm arc of Fantastic Four. I forgot to rank that one. 513 is the Draco.
I think this is better than 200 Marvel Knights X-Men. I think we're in the like 100 to 200 range. What do you think?
Oh, we have a difference of opinion.
Oh, okay. You wanted to go higher or lower?
I was gonna say I could put it above Generation X 10 through 11 at 300 Death Whale.
Oh, you're that low.
I like Marvel. Okay, what's at 250? Let's split the middle. Let's just talk this through and we'll see what happens.
What's at 250, Zach?
That's the cocaine arc of Wolverine.
It is.
Hey, Adam, the cocaine arc is better than this, though, is the thing. John Byrne also drew part of that one, and this one's better. The cocaine one is better than this. Tell me it's not better than this.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's fine. But I think it's better than
than God's Country.
Where is that? God's Country's at...
That's at 276.
Yeah. No, I think we're in the right part of the list. All right, hold on. I'm looking around. I'm seeing some other things. Wolverine
Noir. I saw you had highlighted Here Comes Tomorrow, and I can tell you that Here Comes Tomorrow is better than this.
Yeah, I think Wolverine Noir is better at 258. All right, maybe I was being too optimistic about this. I think it's better than 261, though. They keep killing Madrox.
Okay, yeah, but it's not better than that arc of All New X Factor where Gambit steals, like, there's an island of thieves.
Yeah, all right, so let's put it in between those two.
Our new number 261 is Marvel Team Up 100.
Nice. All right. And we are going to fast forward towards the end of Volume 1 of Marvel Team Up to issue 149, where Spider-Man has his second team up with a member of the New Mutants, Mr. Sam Guthrie.
Yeah, this is a Cannonball story. Louise Simonson, Brett Blevins.
Nice.
Heck yeah, what a team.
I love it. I love it.
The thing about Cannonball is that he's a good boy.
He sure is.
And he cares about his mama. Mm-hmm. He's real upset that he can't go and help out his mama after his dad died in the coal mines down there in Kentucky. I'm from Lexington, but I'm allowed to make that voice. And yeah, he wants to buy his mama a hat.
That's right. Not just any hat. This is a Kentucky Derby appropriate hat with some flair on top that you could wear and with your mint juleps. Like, you're ready to go.
It is from Saks Fifth Avenue.
Oh yeah. And it is not on sale, even though those hats will be on sale later this episode.
That is a $50 hat.
That's a $50 hat in what is this? This is 84? This is 84. This is an expensive hat. He's got to protect this hat.
Yeah, but wouldn't you know it, the incandescent man shows up. Now, what do you know about the incandescent man? Because I know nothing.
Here's what I know about the incandescent man is that, do you remember when Dazzler got captured by the Pegasus Project? And then and went to space and became Galactus's black hole explorer. Remember all that?
I remember that story. Every time we say it, sounds better than the experience of reading it.
Yes. So the incandescent man is basically electro light, but he's an experiment from the Pegasus Project who escaped and is basically like roaming around Manhattan, sucking up electricity and causing power outages. It ain't great. He's a pretty stupid villain, but we got two conflicting storylines here. We have Peter Parker, who's desperate for rent money and needs to take some new kinds of pictures. And we have Cannonball, who needs to save Ma Guthrie's hat. So they have to do both while saving the town from the incandescent man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's down on his luck. The Bugle, Robbie Robertson is saying, Peter, I love you, buddy. These Spider-Man pictures are crap.
Yeah. Stop taping your camera to a wall.
Trying. Well, he doesn't know that. Does
Robbie
Robertson ever find out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man? I don't think so, but I've not read that much Spider-Man.
I probably
I know Civil War, but
I don't know. I mean,
no, because Robbie Robertson is a ongoing character in the latest arc of Nick Spencer's terrible Amazing Spider-Man.
And maybe, I guess he's still not in the know,
Yeah, he's hanging out with Tombstone because you know Lonnie Lincoln, the Tombstone.
Yeah. Yes. Why is he hanging out with Tombstone? I don't want to know. Do I want to know?
No. You do.
Okay.
Peter Parker has a roommate, and it's Robbie Robertson's son.
Okay.
And Robbie Robertson's son is dating Lonnie Lincoln's daughter Janice.
Oh my god.
Also, Lonnie Lincoln and Robbie Robertson hate each other from some story in probably the 70s that I don't remember. So they have to deal with their kids hooking up. Also, Janice Lincoln is the new Beetle from Superior Foes of Spider-Man, a book that Steve Lieber drew the heck out of, and I refuse to go back and sully my memory with the actual words that are written.
All right. Well, none of that sounded like something I want to catch up with. Luckily for our heroes, it's not too hard to get rid of the incandescent man because he doesn't deal well with water. So, we get some explanation for who he is and where he came from, and then he gets dunked in the Hudson, and he's pretty good. Though Spidey makes a very questionable choice to dump his wonderful pictures at the end of this episode and not be able to pay his rent, which I do not understand. Peter, very bad decision. Though Cannonball learns to turn, which has always been an early Cannonball problem.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Cannonball does learn how to turn, and he turns so good that he can knock the incandescent man into the water while saving his ma's hat. And him and Spider-Man have a talk, and Spider-Man's like, well, I don't know if the X-Men are going to kick you out, but you seem really cool. You can be my friend if you want. It's fine. We can be friends. I'm lonely.
I love it. Yeah, and Cannonball is like
friend,
so...
Samuel.
He's so happy. Cannonball's so happy that Spider-Man remembers him from the Marvel Team Up annual Cloak and Dagger, New Mutants, and Spider-Man. He's like, you remember me? It's great. Absolutely wonderful.
I love it. I love Sam Guthrie just like being an earnest, good boy.
Yes.
He's a good boy, and I like it. And this is a fun issue. I like the art. I think Brett Blevins draws good art. We like him.
Love Blevins.
Weezy's
got a handle of Sam, and I think she does a pretty good Spidey, too. I like her Spidey. The Spidey and Marvel team up is just kind of like just a general, like this issue in particular kind of feels like one of those PSA Spider-Man comic books a little bit. Like it's just very general audiences.
He's the most Spider-Man he could be.
Yes.
Like he's 100% like corporate IP Spider-Man.
Right. I can't pay my rent. Gotta take some pictures. Oh, Aunt May, oh, this is a cool kid I'm going to hang out with for this particular issue. This is great. So yeah, if you're a Cannonball fan, you got to track this one down.
If you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll probably find something you like about it.
Absolutely.
This one's pretty good. I like this one better.
I think this one's more fun than the last one. Just, watching Sam really try and protect this silly hat, I think is great. So I think this is better than the last issue we talked about, even if it's not as consequential in terms of story. It gets the character better.
This probably isn't better than Brood Trouble in the Big Easy, right? That's at 230.
No. I mean,
and at 229 is Spider-Man and the X-Men, the one where Sauron wants to turn people into dinosaurs. So that one's better than this.
Yeah, it's not better than Globlov's Man Kills at 233. But
not better than The Good Secret Empire.
Nope.
At 237.
Let's see. I think it's probably on par with at 238. We have the Villains Auction arc of Generation X from Christina Strain's run. I think we're probably on the same
I agree.
beat as that.
I would put it above that, but below Old Man Logan Berserker.
Okay, I can get behind that. I think that works really well.
Our new number 238.
Yeah, that's good. Like we said, if you're a Cannonball fan, you got to check that issue out. You'll be aw shucks and all over the place.
It's pretty good. But now we get to the moment that Kevin wanted us to talk about.
Yes.
This is the last Marvel team-up.
It has a very somber cover.
Yeah, and everyone, this is the last Marvel team-up. So now, may I ask for a moment of silence before the action begins? Thank you.
It's right on the cover. I mean, it says, now a moment's silence.
I'm just following instructions here.
This is an issue that starts with Spidey having chucked his roll of film in the last issue. So he ends up like taking model photos of like the landlord's daughter and her friends. Like, what is with this Barry Windsor Smith somber cover? I think
it's her niece.
Still, like,
it's her niece, but this is so Spider-Man owes rent to Mrs. Muggins.
Yes.
And as an excuse to get out of a rent conversation, he complains to Mrs. Muggins. Mrs. Muggins, there's bikini-clad women gallivanting above my sunroof.
She's not buying it.
Mrs. Muggins pretty much says, "Yeah, that's my niece." Also, what? What are you mad about, Peter? That's of course Randy Candy and Bambi.
Randy Candy and Bambi. That's correct.
They were ongoing characters in Spectacular Spider-Man, from what I understand.
Yeah, why not? I think I remember reading some issues with them again. They seem like nice kids, just trying to make it in the big city. But folks, we got to jump to the main event, and this beautiful Barry Windsor Smith cover does not even hint at the core beauty of this issue, which is, we've talked often about it. You forgot. This is about...
I forgot. When we read this one, I forgot what it was about, and then I immediately remembered, and I was so happy because it's It's pure, and it's beautiful, and it's what I want in my life.
Yeah, I think the last time we had a moment like this was when we saw the Blob fight the Hulk in Marvel Fanfare, you know, because there's
Udis the Untouchable wanted to be his friend.
That's right. And this, my friends, is another great tale of the eternal bromance between the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy. And happy birthday, Black Tom Cassidy.
Fellas. Okay, ladies, let's step out of the room. This one's just for the fellas here. Fellas, is it gay to go all the way to Korea to break into a temple, fight off the army, and get a magical gem so that your friend, your best friend in the world, your best pal, can know what it's like to live in your body and be inside of your body all the time and with your big hulking muscles? Is that a platonic thing to do? Because I'm not convinced. I don't think I would do that for my friends, but I am not Kane Marco.
Kane Marco's devotion to Black Tom is very, very, like, just, it's a beautiful thing. And whether it is romantic or platonic,
he loves him so much.
I don't even care. It just makes for just such lovely stories. And this is after, I believe, Spider-Man had buried the Juggernaut under like layers of concrete.
And nothing can stop the Juggernaut.
Right. But he has escaped.
Yeah. In the biggest Juggernaut story, Spider-Man puts him in concrete and he gets stuck there for a really, really long time. And then the first thing he does is, "Aw, dang, Tom's birthday's coming up. I got to get him a good gift."
He's checking his calendar. So the Gem of Sidorak,
Kane Marco is so good,
gives Black Tom Juggernaut powers, but unfortunately, it takes some of Juggernaut's power away. So Black Tom is not super psyched about this at first. So they fight, as Juggernauts do, and it just leads to chaos. Like, the X-Men are hardly even in this story. They get called in from the Danger Room. It's only a couple of them. Colossus, Rogue, Rachel, and Nightcrawler show up, and it doesn't matter. Like, it's just about the conversation about these two, and you can tell that Black Tom cares about Kane too.
There's a point where he says, "Kane, I'm sorry. I know you put a lot of thought into this present, and I reacted with my gut and not with my head, and I apologize there. I got too angry. This is a great gift. It's very thoughtful. Thank you so much, Kane, my best friend. Kane, my best friend, thank you for splitting your power with me for a day."
Well, and let's not forget,
it's gorgeous,
that when Rogue shows up, she also gets juggernauted and becomes giant sized. So we have like 3 Juggernaut-sized people. They rip Juggernaut's helmet off, only to discover that Juggernaut has a backup helmet.
Juggernaut has a little helmet under his helmet because he's like, "Yeah, guys, I'm real freaking tired of you guys just ripping off my helmet, so I put a smaller helmet under my helmet, so now I have 2 helmets."
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's kind of perfect, is the thing.
It is. And the two of them, Black Tom and Kane, do escape. Unfortunately, I believe into the sewers, where Black Tom was partying in a nice like skyscraper somewhere with friends. But
don't worry. Do you know the next time we see Black Tom Cassidy?
No. What's the next story?
X-Force number 1.
Really? There's that much of a gap?
There is that much of a gap. Juggernaut will show up a few more times, but just Juggernaut. Black Tom doesn't show up until X-Force number 1.
That's 7 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, bud.
Well, at least Peter Parker got some good photos this time. Robbie is very, very happy with the model pictures that he has taken of his neighbors, the burgeoning models.
With their consent.
Yes. No, it's not a camera on the wall. They asked him to take those photos.
It's not weird.
It's not weird at all. It is a little strange that Robbie is going to then publish said photos as like a page 6 number in the Daily Bugle, which little odd, but you know.
Well. Listen to. They're running a story about a heat wave. In the normal pictures they had for it, the negatives got all screwed up. So Robbie's in a bind here.
He is.
And now Peter's bringing him these bikini girls lounging around in the sun, and he's like, "This, I've got to go to print in 2 hours. Can you get the release and get back to me? Because
Yes.
I'll run it. I'll pay you. Just I need something to fill this spot. I don't have the inches for another article. Just give it to me, Pete."
I do love the the talk about like the voucher system at the Daily Bugle that closes out this issue. Oh my god. This is delightful. I really like it.
Is it surprising that this is written by editor Louise Simonson?
Yeah,
Because there's a
clearly
lot
knows.
of talk about the editorial needs of running a publication.
Yeah, clearly knows what paperwork needs to get filled out to get her talent paid. I would say aside from, hey, God bless Barry Windsor Smith doing a cool cover here. Everybody's holding hands. I don't know what the heck the idea was for this cover or why it has the titles it does. Has nothing to do with what you see inside. I guess it was just because it was the last issue of the run. But what a fun issue.
Yeah, this one rules. A lot of Marvel team-ups actually bad. Like, pound for pound, Marvel 2-in-1 was probably the better team-up book.
Sure.
But this it goes out on the highest note it can. I'm trying to think of, this is probably my favorite Marvel team-up. I've not read them all, but this is pretty far up there on that list.
Yeah, it just definitely has a lighthearted feel to it that is just like a great moment for these two characters and this relationship between them that I think we've come to really know and love. So where's this thing going to go? Because I think this is a lot better than the other two.
Okay, so I saw something, and I just want to say it to hear it and to hear your reaction.
All right, let's go. What do we got?
This is better than the Pizza Hut X-Men.
Oh, okay. Where are we at here? Where's the Pizza Hut X-Men?
Okay, listen to me. That's at 100, but listen. Listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
At 112 is the Gifts, the Christmas issue of X Factor 27.
Yeah.
And this is better than that.
This
is better than Ultimate X-Men The Tomorrow People.
Okay. I'm just taking a brief swing through 150 to 125 to make sure I agree with where we're at here. And because I do really enjoy this. I think it's a lot of fun. At 131, we have the first appearance of Unis, which is a lot of fun with the cake.
Yeah. This is better than that.
Yeah, I think it is.
Man, that's real high.
Yeah, I don't think I would put it ahead of 101, which is Mojo Mayhem, though. Like, the art's not really that great in this. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun. I would put it somewhere in between here, because, like, I think it's better than the Bendis, Fraser Irving, Uncanny arc in Limbo, which is Uncanny X-Men
and that's at
5 to
104.
7, which is a 104. Better or worse than Fall and Rise of the New Mutants? Like, you see? Like, there's a lot of...
I want to...
You want to go how high?
I think it's
Talk to me. It can't go higher than 90 is
at,
Fallen Angels. We're not going to put it ahead of Fallen Angels.
Fallen Angels is better than this.
Everything is Sinister is better than this at 93.
That's better than this. Further Adventures at 94 is better than this. I think this is better than X-Men Second Coming, though.
Wow. Okay.
X-Men Second Coming has some bad art.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's squeeze it in between Mojo Mayhem and Second Coming then. I think that's a really good place for it on the list. You cool with that?
If you like our podcast,
you will
you're
like
this issue of comics. It's very dumb in a good way, and I'm so excited that Kevin decided that he wanted us to talk about it. Go check out his art. It's at Kevin Newburn All those words, you know how to spell them, so spell them that way. Fantastic. Go buy stuff from his store.
Yeah.
It's great.
Zines, original art, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. I have an original Jubilee by Kevin, and I treasure it. I think it's really cool. So get some stuff.
I am staring at a picture. I'm staring at a picture of Bill the Lobster that Kevin drew for me and sent to me.
That's great. Very cool.
Yeah, it sits on my shelf. It's great. I took a picture of all of my shelves that are directly behind me when I'm recording and working, and it had a bunch of art, and Kevin liked it, and I said, Kevin, don't freak out. Yours is right over there.
It's still here, buddy. It's still here. Well, that's nice. I'm glad you got a chance to show off his artwork back to him. So what's going on, man?
Comics XF is doing a lot of really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, go check it out. Supporting the Patreon.
I don't even know what... Hellfire Gala. We're doing great stuff about the Hellfire Gala, so go check that out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Adam, what are you doing?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. And what are we doing next week, Zach? Are we allowed to tell them?
No, it's a secret.
It's a secret. Okay. All
In
right.
fact, the next 2 weeks are secrets for different reasons.
Good secrets.
They are good secrets, and one of them are going to invade your eardrums real soon. But until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.